Hey, how you doing? Barry here from Uncovering Greatness. Well, yeah, this may seem a surprise to you or might not seem a surprise, but I've come to the conclusion most people in this world are full of shit. Yes, they're full of shit. Well, why do I say that? Well, pretty simple, because I've just learned this, that most people want to create something different, but they struggle to do this. They struggle to honor their agreements. And why are agreements so important? Well, pretty simply, agreements are so important because agreements create trust. So when I talk about agreements, I talk about agreements between people, agreements between companies, agreements between, importantly, agreements that you make to yourself. Look, how many of you are just dishonoring the agreement you make to yourself? I know that I dishonor the agreements I make to myself. I agree that I'm going to eat in a certain way, train in a certain way, do certain things, and then I don't do them. Well, you break trust with yourself. Why? Because trust comes from agreements. Trust comes from agreements. That's the place that it comes from. The more you uphold agreements, the greater you build trust. The more you break agreements, the greater you break trust. So I see it all over the place. In the space that I play with entrepreneurs and helping business owners build businesses, one of the things that I see is people can't honor agreements. They say they're going to do something, then something else comes up and they break the agreement. And then they wonder why people don't trust it. And I see it everywhere. How many of you know what I'm talking about? So if you want to start building trust, if you want to start creating an environment where people know that they can count on you, start upholding agreements. You know, I saw it just this week. In our business, I run free training events. And what I'll see is people will book, we'll give them a call, they'll agree that they're coming 24 hours before the event, and then they just don't pitch up. Now, that's their choice. But the question is, if they keep doing that, am I interested in doing business with them? Probably not. Now, how many of you realize that that's just an example, but what about, how many of you have just experienced it where someone has agreed that they're going to do something for you and then they just don't rock up, or then they just don't deliver, or then they just make excuses, or they don't take responsibility for it? I don't know about you, but sometimes it really disappoints me. But when I find people that can uphold agreements, people that can say what they're going to do, it builds trust. Those are the people that I want to work with. So just ask yourself this. Are you building or breaking trust? Are you building or breaking trust with others? Or are you building or breaking trust with yourself? Can you uphold agreements? Remember, trust comes from agreement.